Imagine you're standing on the edge of the world. The sun bleeds out across the horizon, painting the cliffs of Arizona's Mogollon Rim in shades of purple and orange. Below you, the largest ponderosa pine forest on Earth settles into a deep darkness. The air is crisp, clean, and you are completely, utterly alone. Then the silence breaks. It's not a coyote. It's not an owl. It's a sound that scrapes at the very foundation of primal fear. For over a century, reports have described it with unnerving consistency, a blood-curdling, unearthly screech, or even a terrified woman in distress. This is the herald of the Mogollon Monster, Arizona's own version of Bigfoot. It's a story passed down not in scientific journals, but around campfires. A whispered warning that gives a name to that unsettling feeling of being watched deep in the woods. It's a legend built on terrifying sounds and a legendary stench that announces its presence long before it's ever seen.
The Mogollon Monster is what's known as a cryptid, an animal like the Loch Ness Monster or Yeti, whose existence is unproven and relies on anecdotal evidence.
Exactly. So the question we're asking today is, what is truly out there in the dark? Is it a myth? A monster? Or is it something in between?
It's a monster.
Well,
What else could it be?
it could be anything, really. To understand the monster, you first have to understand its lair. The Mogollon Rim isn't just a setting, it's a character. A landscape so dramatic and untamed, it feels like it could hide anything. Geographically, the rim is a staggering feature, a 200-mile-long escarpment that slices across northern Arizona.
An escarpment is essentially a long, steep slope or cliff, often at the edge of a plateau. The Mogollon Rim marks the southern edge of the massive Colorado Plateau.
Right. In some places, it drops off in sheer 2,000-foot cliffs. It's a biodiversity hotspot, a place where ecosystems collide, creating a vibrant food chain, a plausible pantry for a large omnivorous creature. And all of it's hidden under that massive canopy of ponderosa pines.
Fun fact about those pines: if you get close to the bark of a ponderosa, it has a distinct smell of vanilla or butterscotch, a sweet scent in a forest of shadows.
A sweet scent that could easily be overpowered by a monster. This is a genuinely wild place, so much so that it's a critical corridor for reintroducing endangered Mexican wolves. If a 7-foot-tall undiscovered primate were to exist anywhere, this would be the perfect hiding place. So what are people actually seeing out there? For over 100 years, eyewitness accounts have painted a remarkably consistent and chilling picture. Sifting through these tales creates a composition sketch, an anatomy of the Mogollon Monster. First, it's an imposing figure. Witnesses consistently describe a bipedal humanoid creature standing well over 7 feet tall, with a powerful build and long arms that hang down to his knees.
Bipedal simply means it uses 2 legs for walking, a key trait that makes it seem so disturbingly human.
It's covered in long, shaggy hair, usually black or reddish-brown. But here's the key detail. Its face, hands, and feet are reportedly hairless with dark, leathery skin. 2 of the most visceral details are its eyes and its smell. The eyes are described as large, deep-set, and almost universally expressionless, with some accounts claiming they glow an ominous red in the dark.
That glowing eye effect in animals is usually caused by the tapetum lucidum, a reflective layer behind the retina. It's what causes eye shine in cats and deer. It reflects light, but doesn't produce it.
An explanation that probably doesn't help when you're the one staring into them. But even before that, its presence is often announced by a legendary stench. Witnesses have struggled to describe it, comparing it to a foul combination of dead fish, a skunk with bad body odor, and decaying peat moss.
my.
It's an unforgettable signature.
Okay, that's
Well,
enough.
That's what they said.
This
I
is
know.
some bull.
The legend didn't just appear overnight. It was built from a century of terrifying encounters. The urtext of the modern legend appeared in 1903 in a story from a man named I.W. Stevens. Stevens claimed he encountered a creature he called the Wild Man of the Rocks. His description was vivid. Long white hair and matted beard, with talon-like fingers. But his encounter turned violent and bizarre. Stevens claimed to have watched in horror as the creature, after being threatened by two cougars, grabbed a club, beat the animals to death, and then proceeded to drink their blood.
The technical term for blood drinking is hematophagy. It's rare in mammals, but common in insects like mosquitoes and, of course, vampire bats.
A terrifying trait that established this monster not as a shy beast, but as a violent and powerful predator. But perhaps the most famous sighting happened in the 1940s. A 13-year-old Boy Scout named Don Davis was camping near Tonto Creek. Late at night, he heard something rummaging through their supplies, and a massive figure stood silently over his sleeping bag. That experience defined his life, and he grew up to be a cryptozoologist.
Cryptozoology is a pseudoscience. It comes from the Greek word kryptos, meaning hidden, and it refers to the search for animals whose existence is unproven.
Davis's story, tied to the Boy Scouts, became a campfire staple, ensuring the legend would be told for generations. This all sounds terrifying, but for every chilling story, there's one stark, unavoidable reality. There is zero verifiable proof. No body, no bones, not one clear photograph. So what's the rational explanation? The most plausible theory is misidentification of a bear. But an even more compelling candidate is the animal that used to live here, the grizzly bear. Grizzlies roamed the rim until the early 1930s.
And Arizona grizzlies were no joke. Historical records suggest they were massive, with some males weighing up to 1,000 pounds. A sudden encounter with an animal that large would be unforgettable.
Exactly. The historical timeline of grizzlies aligns perfectly with the origins of the wild man legends. We also have to consider the quirks of human perception.
There's a known psychological phenomenon called pareidolia. That's our brain's innate tendency to see familiar patterns, like a human figure, in random shapes, like a shadow or a gnarled tree stump in the dark.
Right, so between misidentified bears and our own minds playing tricks on us, the scientific community dismisses the legend as folklore. But that lack of proof is exactly what gives this story its enduring power. Over time, something strange happened. The Mogollon Monster evolved from a figure of backcountry terror into a beloved piece of Arizona folklore. It became a brand. Its most visible modern incarnation is the Mogollon Monster 100. This is a notorious brutal 100-mile endurance race right through the heart of the monster's supposed territory. The organizers heard the legends and realized Mogollon Monster was the perfect name for their monstrously difficult race. The community looked at its greatest fear from the forest and turned it into a symbol of human endurance. The challenge isn't surviving an encounter with the monster anymore. It's becoming the monster by conquering that course. In the end, the question remains unanswered. The Mogollon Monster exists in that fascinating gray area between reality and myth. Its true identity may be less important than what it represents. The vast, wild, and ultimately untamable spirit of the Mogollon Rim.
So, can we finally put the Bigfoot thingy to bed? Of course not.
These stories persist because they tap into a universal and ancient human fear that we're not really at the top of the food chain. So, when you're deep in those woods, under a canopy of brilliant stars, every snapping twig becomes a footstep. Every shadow takes on a menacing form. And in those moments, the legend feels absolutely true.
Whatever do you mean, Duncan? What about all the hard evidence of big and little foots running around forests that nobody ever